Okay, so this is to help your revision, like I promised you, the quiz 2. You would want to know what was expected of you. If it is put in a record, then a very brief one, I hope, then you can understand, and then it will guide. It will also be another resource to help you. So depending on which question came to you, the rationale is so you can also know what the questions were. It might not have come to you, but you have gone through the course, so you should know it, and then let it guide your engagement of the content so far. What someone would have seen, according to Descartes' argument, you cannot be certain of obvious sensory knowledge. So the clue would be you would have one word only. The word we're looking for is dream. That's what is in the braces there. When you open your thing, you won't see it. So according to Descartes' dream argument, you cannot be certain of obvious sensory knowledge. This was a fill in the gap. If you got that, then that was what was expected of you. Remember, obvious sensory knowledge, not all sensory knowledge, but the obvious ones. You needed the dream argument, not the limitation of the senses argument. Now, someone might also have seen a lady shouts and points at a gentleman running ahead with a phone in hand. From our philosophical discussions on Russell, what conclusion should you not draw? Okay, so you saw him holding the phone, so he's a thief. You can't say that. You didn't even need Russell. Even our discussion of Plato would be enough. Okay, you saw him holding the phone, so he's a thief. You can't draw that conclusion. Okay, look at the other options. There is no knowing apart from sensation. Are you sure? There is knowing that it doesn't depend on sensation. Sensations inform what is known. I need you to be looking at the screen because we are working concurrently. Sensations inform what is known? Oh, not necessarily. If you were an empiricist, you'd say yes, but if you were a rationalist, you won't agree. You see? So you saw him holding the phone, so he's a thief. It's not correct. You can't make that, or you can draw that conclusion. Let's see the third one. You may not have seen any of them, but if you know it, then it helps you also. So the third one says empiricists like emphasize as the ultimate source of knowledge. So respectively, you have to fill in those gaps. Empiricists like, if you put in Descartes here, it doesn't work. Descartes is not an empiricist. If you put in Plato, it won't work. Plato is not an empiricist. He has to answer the question. You could put in Hume, even if you never met Hume, at least you know it is not Plato and it is not Descartes. They are rationalists, you see. So you may want to choose Hume. And then let's see what's the next part. So empiricists like Hume emphasize as the ultimate source of knowledge. Since it's not A and it is not B, you see, then when I say A and B, on the screen now, you will see them as A and B. For some people, it might have appeared as D and E or something like that. Okay, so it is the answers I want you to get. That's why I'm taking you to all, not just your specific answers. So you know virtually everything. This extra work, but it will help you. Okay. So experience. Yeah, the second part is experience, and that captures it well for us. So empiricists like Hume emphasize experience as the ultimate source of knowledge. You would want to revise again the content I'm giving you on Descartes. It begins with preliminary content on epistemology and the sources of knowledge, justification of our knowledge claims, etc. They are all there. Next, it makes sense to hold you responsible for your actions if That's the question. A, if both options incorrectly complete the statement above. So it means you have to look at the other option. The answer we choose, we think is correct, is what both options incorrectly complete the statement above. Let's see what the options are. See, we said it makes sense to hold you responsible for your actions. If, look at BB says, it is denied that you freely choose without compulsion. If we deny, it means we don't accept that you freely choose. If we don't accept that you choose freely, in other words, if we disagree that people choose freely, That's a determinist position now. Then can we hold you morally responsible? See, we can't. At least the strict determinist view that has been captured there. If I deny that you ever choose freely, in other words, you don't choose or compelled to necessarily, then it will have implications on moral responsibility. Okay. And the other one is if it is assumed that you are not the same person you are over time, and at the same time you are not different from the other. You see, if I am my grandma who has come back alive, how can you hold me responsible for the things I'm doing? You see that I'm here paying back people who perhaps killed me. So if you believe in that, I'm talking about personal identity that we may likely engage briefly. Locke's notion that is critique. Yeah, Locke doesn't hold this view, but some think that I am not the same person that I am over a time. And therefore it's difficult to establish the difference between myself and the other person. If we take this to be true, then it might be difficult to hold people responsible for their actions. My dear friends, give me a slap, and when I come to arrest you, they say I'm not the one who slapped you. I have gone past who you saw there. That wasn't me. How do you establish accountability? See, so if I hold to this view and I hold on to that view, these two, one is personal identity, the other one is talking about determinism. Of course, there can be variations. If I held those two, then it doesn't make sense. Meaning, to hold people responsible for their actions if they didn't do it. Okay. Now here we are saying that it makes sense to hold them responsible. So it's the contrary. That's why it is neither the other one nor this one. Okay. If you saw it, that's the answer. So you will choose both options incorrectly, complete the statement. Because if this is true, if B is true, this one, if I deny free will and I deny personal identity, that people have an identity, then I cannot hold people responsible. But the statement says you can hold them responsible. So we see that both options don't wash. We spend some time there because the rationale for the exercise is to let you know the thing as for the assessment. Let me do that one. Okay, 5. The material aspect of the person, the account conception of a person discussed. Okay, so we haven't discussed that, but it is not a big deal at all. We can relate it to what Plato does, or even Descartes. So the material, remember Plato, matter, material aspect of the person, the physical, the one that you can touch. And the account conception of a person is what? We haven't discovered. I can tell you that it's a body, material. So the account thinks of the human person as what? At least from Jechi's perspective, that was discussed then, as what? Okra, sunsum, and honam. You can literally do some translation. It's not exactly the same, but we can make do with that until if we need to go into some detail. Okay, okra, like the soul, sunsum, something like spirit, and then honam, body, honam, body. So the material part of the human person, at least as discussed, that's why it is qualified there, as discussed, is what? Honam. Because some also would think of the person, even though I can, but they would think of the person as with two parts, having just two parts. Okay. I think I have 4 aspects of my being. Soul, body, my spirit, and the spirit of Christ. But I'm a Christian. There might be another Christian doctrine that thinks, yeah, a soul, body, and a spirit. You see that? So the one that was discussed then focused on Church's view, which was what? Honam for body, Okra for soul, Sunsum for spirit. That is the answer we're looking for. So if the option said the material part is Sunsum, Okra, and Sunsum, Okra alone, then the answer would be what? None of the given options. That is how can we see it at the top there. All right, we'll move on. This would be a good feeling for you if just for you to know, even if we didn't get to discuss all of that. We have already done so much. A lady shouts and points at a gentleman running ahead with a phone in hand. From our philosophical discussions on Descartes, what justified conclusion should you draw? So the lady shouts and points at a gentleman running ahead with a phone in hand. What justified conclusion should you draw from our discussion of Descartes? A. The answer there is what? Sensory knowledge may not represent truth or certainty. It may, but it may not. So you want to be careful how you diagnose and interpret sensory knowledge. The second one says, ignore them and mind your own business. See, you saw him holding the phone, so he's a thief. I think by now you know that that cannot be enough grounds to justify justification. Check the slides on Descartes that has been uploaded for you and listen to the video. Justification, how do you ground the claim that you saw him holding the phone? So you want to conclude he is a thief? Okay, the last time I checked, those who sell phones also hold phones. A friend could hold a phone for the lecture. The TA could help the lecturer out, holding her phone, her laptops and stuff. You saw her holding, you have a snapshot of her holding, not enough grounds at all. Shoot him before he escapes to endanger society. Well, so we can see that all those options will not be justifiable given the Cartesian discussion we have engaged. The first one works fine, that sensory knowledge may not represent truth or certainty. If you saw that question, what was the expectation of you? Then move on. The most central question of epistemology is, I think this is one of the questions that folks will ask, what is the meaning of the randomized at the end? It was just part of the setup. When you were setting the question, you put randomized, it means that you want them to mix up the question. So it didn't really matter much. The most central question of epistemology now you know is how we can justify our claims of knowledge. Justification, not what is knowledge. No, it is not a problem. Anyone can have their view of what they think knowledge is. That's why we have the empiricist view and the rationalist view. Who should we trust? Well, not really a question of knowledge. All of the given options, definitely not. So the actual central question is, you may have your own reason for counting something as what? Knowledge. But how do you justify? Otherwise, everyone will say, me, I know that he's a thief. That's all. No matter what you say. Oh, upon me, I say he's a thief. If you stretch yourself from here to London, I say he's a thief. We don't have that. We don't do that. You don't keep that posture. I mean, see, there should be justification. That's the central question of epistemology. Okay. Then we move on to, I hope I'm able to cover a lot. Most of them will be presented differently. Okay. Oh, it wasn't saved. Let me save that. The statement, I know the lecturer. The statement, I know the lecturer. I want to check what the demand of that question was. I know the lecturer. I know the lecturer. What has it done? I'm sure it has to do with, okay, so we are there. The statement, I know the lecturer, implies you believe it is true, and you were asked to complete that. What do you think that would be from our preliminary, what I said earlier? And you can justify your belief. Okay, so justified true belief. You know it, you believe it, and you can justify. Not you can analyze, no. Not it is a priori, no. Not it is a posteriori, no. The point there is you know it, you believe it, and you can justify it. Period. That is what we wanted. If it came to you at all. If I believe that the ultimate source of our knowledge about reality is reason, then I am what? What do you think? If I believe that the ultimate source of our knowledge is reason, then I am what? See the options. Empiricist? No. Reasonable? No. Philosophical? No. I'm rationalist. Just saw that now in our slides. So if I believe that the ultimate source of our knowledge is reason, then I am a rationalist. Let's move. An empirical source of knowledge is also An empirical source of knowledge is also what? It's also, let's look at the options given. Sensory-based, and people will quickly go and underline sensory-based because it is true. But have you looked at the other options? Perhaps all of them are true. You have to read to the end. An empirical source of knowledge is also sensory-based, observation-based, experience-based. So the answer is what? All the given options. I'm sure you can see why now. They are all talking about the 5 senses. So it's either sensory-based or observation or empirical. They refer to the same thing. Okay, 11. The ultimate source and true justification of our knowledge claim defines the contention between which people. When we are talking about the ultimate source of knowledge, then we will be talking which group of people versus which group of people. They are all answering the question of knowledge. So it cannot be aesthetics and ethicists. No. It can be metaphysicians. Metaphysicians are not engaged in reality, in knowledge. They are talking reality. So they are not contending with epistemologists on anything. You see, when it comes to what the source and true justification of our knowledge claim. So it means that we enter into the framework of epistemology and then find the two contending views that stand out. That is what rationalism and empiricism. So the C works fine for the rationalist and the empiricist. That is correct. What's the other one? You see that most of the questions overlap, but their demands are not the same. According to Descartes, on 12 now, according to Descartes, what can be known for certainty? Yeah? What can be known for certain? The randomized come to the end again. I take it off. What can be known for certain? A, the evil genius. B, the dream argument. C, his own existence. Anytime he thinks of it, obviously, that's the answer. His own existence. I think, therefore, I am. Cogito, ergo sum. You should know that by now. Learn it, basa basa, my dear friends. 13. Descartes can be described as a foundationalist because foundationalism is captured also in the slides I've given you on Descartes and epistemology. Who is a foundationalist? He seeks knowledge to serve as what? A foundation. He's looking for certainty to serve as a ground on which to build all other knowledge. Not that he's looking for, not he wants all knowledge to be certain, no, but he just wants a foundational knowledge, one that is certain to serve as what? The basis on which to build, okay, his epistemology, or to build knowledge. So that if the foundation is strong and even the body itself is weak, we won't have a problem. So far as the foundation is strong, it can hold us up. Okay, so the answer is he sought for certainty to serve as a ground on which to build all other knowledge. That's what makes him a foundationalist. Okay, now the next screen, the next question, then we will enter into, I think, another set. The evil genius argument was used to doubt what? The evil genius argument was used to. I'll give you the answer straightforwardly, but I want to look at how I set it so you have a fair idea of what was expected of you. Evil genius argument was used to doubt a priori truth. Yeah, that's correct. It wasn't used to doubt a posteriori truth. No, a posteriori truth depends on experience. But a priori is truth that you know prior to experience. You know even before you try to look or see or taste or touch, etc. Not to doubt all knowledge, no. So the answer is to doubt a priori truth or a priori knowledge. Like if the person came to tell you the bachelor has beaten his own wife. I put that in the video. The bachelor has beaten his own wife mercilessly. How can bachelors beat their own wife? If he's a bachelor, he cannot beat his wife. He has beaten someone, yes, but not his wife. It can be correct. You know that without even observing. I've said that all over the place. Critical thinking, philosophy everywhere. Okay. All right. That was what was expected. Okay. Descartes, I think, therefore I am, is certain. The claim that I think, therefore I am, is certain because, so let's see why that is finally a certainty. The option A says it is certain because he sees that clearly. B says he must exist to doubt that he exists. Oh yes, that sounds fine for me. It is a geometrical method, yeah, but that is not the answer. The answer is the claim that I think, therefore I am, cogito ergo sum, is a certainty for Descartes. Why? Because if he wanted to subject that truth, that claim, to doubt, he still has to exist to be able to doubt that he exists. Okay, that is incontrovertibly true. That is why he couldn't throw it out. And based on that certainty, he now evolves all other epistemological claims. We're on 18, so let's do 19. All of the given options are immaterial aspects of the person, except, now you know from what I've said so far. So except, we want the one that is immaterial. He said all the others are immaterial, except. You see that this is a repetition of the other question, except that it was phrased differently. So soon will be not immaterial. It's not tangible. You can't touch or see the soon, which is tantamount to the spirit. But you can touch honam and body. So the other ones are all immaterial. They are not physical. The only one that is physical is what? That's what the question says, except. Okay. Look at the other one, okra and sum. Soul and spirit are all considered immaterial. So we come to honam. That is the answer. I've already seen that. Good. Let's see. I could have skipped this one, but I want to take you through to the end because it's the same as the other ones. Okay. All of the 20, the branch of philosophy that is concerned with the question of the value of beauty. Should we go to this? Is what? Value of beauty. Aesthetics. Someone wants to argue. Doc, you didn't put it there. It is there. That's aesthetics. It's correct. C. Okay. So if you choose that, that's how come you got the mark you got. 21. When we get to the parts that repeat themselves, I will end it so that you can bring me your own if you feel that it is still not answered. I think that all are answered. 21. Which approach of doing philosophy criticizes the other for emphasizing questions of meaning and under-emphasizing questions of truth? It's a simple question. Which of the approaches, we know of two. I didn't add the essential approach. So you know speculative and analytic approach, period. Which of these two overemphasizes questions of meaning? Which one focuses on meaning? It's straightforward. You see, if you know the one which focuses on meaning, then you come and read the question. He said, which approach of doing philosophy criticizes the other for overemphasizing questions of meaning? So if I know the one that emphasizes questions of meaning, I know that is an analytic approach. Then it is the other person who is criticizing the one that does analytic approach. Okay, which one would that be? Speculative. That's all. So that's the answer. Highlighted. Okay, speculative approach, not the analytic. Now, analytic people emphasize meaning. The speculative people emphasize what? Truth, questions of metaphysics and what have you. So one criticizes the other that you are overly every day, you want clarity, meaning. What's the meaning of this? What does this stand for? You should be interested in the truth of it, whether it's actually there or not whether what it means and what it doesn't mean, you know. So the speculative approach folks critique their colleagues that you overemphasize meaning. Their colleagues are called analytic approach. So they do the criticizing. I'm emphasizing again and again because some students feel that, oh, no, but I said, who criticizes who? There's another question that looks like this. It is the other way around. That's why the answer was switch. So here, which people criticize the other for being too preoccupied with what meaning. Which people criticize their friends. The speculative folks criticize analytic folks for overemphasizing meaning. I think this was helpful. It is in the What is Philosophy lecture. I think that is lecture 1 or so. Engage it, friends, for your interim assessment. Okay, 22. Philosophy trains its students to achieve the following, except. Except means the odd one out. So we train you to do all the following, except. What don't we train you to do? So we train you to have an understanding of human society. That's true. To have a well-reasoned and mature faith. You don't want a faith that is not grounded. You see, otherwise you will lose your faith if Italy and London play the match, and what we heard that would happen doesn't happen. The prophet prophesied, so to speak, as inspired by the Spirit of God, says the prophet. And they didn't turn out that way for whatever the reasons. I don't want to interrogate that. But if you don't have a well-reasoned and mature faith, you may lose your faith for some of such reasons, okay? And therefore, we train you to ask pertinent questions, even as a person of faith, with the intention to improve, or if you like, to have a better understanding of what you held on to. Perhaps we might stop doing no trouser, and rather focus on what? Be decent. Perhaps, just perhaps, we might have a second thought about insisting that you have to cover your hair before you pray. We might say that keep the prayer atmosphere clean and holy and quiet so you can hear from God. But it need not mean that if I'm driving and falling into a ditch, I should look for my scarf before I shout, "Help me, Lord." That one is questionable. So we train you to reason out, not to use rationality to understand God. It might not work all the time, but to reason out the reasons why you do what you do. If the understanding comes, your faith matures. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. When I became a man, says Paul, I gave up childish ways. So when your faith is mature, it's good. That's one of the trainings we give you. Okay. Now, CC, we train you to be a prejudiced and to have a prejudiced and defensive mindset. No, do you understand prejudice? You already have your answers before you go there. No, not at all. This is not a training given. Then you become defensive. You don't train you to be defensive. Defensive means even if you see superior argument, superior reasons, you still want to take your dogmatic, myopic viewpoint. No way, sir. That is not philosophy. That's why we want you to bring your views all the time. We train you to be open-minded, objective, receptive to other views, not necessarily agreeing to them, but hearing to see the rationale behind those views. Okay, all the given options are outcomes of philosophical training. So the odd one has been picked out. That's a good question. Could be an essay question with illustrations. Show the practical relevance of philosophy and its practice. What would you say if you were to answer essay question? Okay. 23. I define philosophy as a conceptual response to practical existential problems. Do we even need to go and check? Who am I? Plato? No, sir. Ortega? No, sir. Ajay? No, sir. Jechi? Oh, yes, sir. That's Kwame Jechi. Look at the spelling of the name and don't offend us by spelling it wrongly. It is Jechi. That is how it is pronounced, not Gaike. All right. Then we'll move on to the next question. Question 24. What did I ask? I said the branch of philosophy that, oh no, it's the same thing. See, that is concerned with the question of the value of beauty. See, this one. But the possible answers will vary. Let's go and see. Let's see, 24. That is why you should be careful. When your friend tells you I was CC, you will see. Don't underestimate the crocodile. Every day I tell you that. Okay. All right. 25. I could put the same question, then this time the answers, what you are looking for will not be in the option. So the answer to that would be none of the above. But the same question was posed earlier, and then the answer was there you picked. So if all you need to do is just sit behind the screen and answer the questions that are posed at you, and that's it. Question 25. Which approach of doing philosophy criticizes the other for overemphasizing questions of meaning and underemphasizing questions of truth? I won't be surprised that you would go and meet the options and then there will be none of the above. Philosophy trains its students to achieve the full except. Okay, I think I've gotten to the part that repeats itself. Which one of the following correctly? Philosophy adapts only one of the following methods. Let's see that 28. Philosophy adapts only one of the following methods. Look at the answers. A. Friendly bantam. There's nothing like that. B. Critical analysis. Yes, that's one of our methods. C. I didn't say approaches to doing philosophy. Approaches to doing philosophy are speculative and analytic. Sometimes you see existential approach. Okay, but we are talking here about the method, how we do it. We critically analyze, we evaluate, we reflect. See, we don't critically abuse. That can be we do. So the philosopher doesn't insult you. The philosopher critiques. Okay, the critical abuse cannot be correct. Speech formation, no, we don't teach that. All right. So what was the answer? Critical analysis. You break down the matter. You show the person the logical consequences of what they are saying. That's one of the methods. Reflection is another. You reflect, you evaluate, you examine. Okay. Any other? Which one of the following incorrectly describes the discipline called philosophy? Let's see that. Incorrectly. Not correctly, but incorrectly. So people will read over it and not see the in. Sometimes when I give instructions and people that say, go and read it, because I want you to adapt to that posture. Look out for details. Because that in there changes the whole schema. Another person will see the same question, but without the in, it will be which one of the following correctly describes the discipline called philosophy. So you have to be very particular with details. Don't rush through something that you want to finish and show that no, the details matter. You see, they say the devil is in the detail. If you had just checked just a little, looked into the guy's eyes, as he said, I love you, you would have seen something. Conceptual response to practical existential problems is correct. At least we know that to be judgy. Reflecting on the fundamental presuppositions of thought and action, or the ends to which conduct of human life should be directed. That is philosophy. When we reflect on what the fundamental assumptions or presuppositions that inspire our thought and our action, or the ends, the goals we set, to which conduct of human life should be directed. Remember Ortega, because of a certain project of essence you have created for yourself ahead of you, it can inform the options you are making. All of that is philosophy. Look at C, thinking critically and objectively about fundamental issues of life and offering a perspective on how to conduct our life. That's philosophy. That's what the great philosophers did. Martin Luther King, who raises questions critically and objectively of the religious faith then, and even our the then American, justice system that was anti-black and legally so. Then he spoke against the religious faith that would make people confess, for example, to that's where Protestant churches evolved from protest to protest. That look, the scripture that we are all looking at has some privileges that you have overlooked. There need not be a mediation. I'm talking about thinking critically and objectively about fundamental issues of life. They are not abstractions, like things that don't matter. They are fundamental. They hold the grounds on which our life, evolve. Philosophical issues are doing that. They are looking at the pillars. So that's philosophy. Then look at the last one. An extreme. We want to know which one is incorrect. It's an incorrect description of what we mean when we say we are doing the academic discipline called philosophy. What is incorrect? So look at the last one. An extreme fixation on baseless argumentation without critical evaluation of evidence. You see, this cannot be philosophy. Just arguing for the sake of it. See, an extreme, you are fixated on it, and the supposed arguing is baseless. There is nothing really in contention. When you busy, saying this one says it, then this one, that is not philosophy. Without critical evaluation of evidence, no. So we don't call that philosophy. And definitely that would mean it can be all the given options correctly described. So the correct answer to this question is what I have just read, an extreme position. Why is it correct? Because we are looking for the incorrect view of philosophy from the given options. That one is the odd one out. Okay. If you want an addition, go to this one to you get it from What is Philosophy lecture presentation. It is still there. I've not pulled it down on the channel. Go there and look at it, play it and listen in. Okay. Then identify the philosophical question among the following. That's question 30. Okay, let's see. Which one is a philosophical question? It means not all questions are philosophical. Okay, what is the real cause of COVID-19 infection? See, if I ask what is the real cause, it's a question of reality, metaphysics. I am asking that you tell me what really causes it, not it's our own interpretation based on our research that we've done, which keeps changing. It will keep changing, obviously. I jokingly tell students, because God will place 6 minudu, and if it shows 3, the die shows 3. Say, okay, today let's COVID, let's 3 people. Then the next 6 minudu, if it goes lost, then the people will go and they will not find anything. The world has its creator. The world has its creator, friends. So when we start asking what really causes something, it is not just merely how we think of it or what we have learned about it via empirical research. We are now asking, could it be something beyond that? Not necessarily spiritual, but even in the world of the experience. Could we know the real cause of something? What is really causing the lack of childbirth? What really is the cause? Now that's metaphysical. Look at the next one. Is government under an obligation to protect its citizens from COVID-19? This is philosophical. Obligation. Does government have a duty to protect its citizens? It is a question of the obligation of the state. That's a philosophical question. It's not just what it's not a description. It is a normative study, a prescription. What I think should be the case, and what do you think should be the case? How do we define the duty of government? Go to lecture 1 again. All those are from there. Should the state base its COVID-19 decisions on duty or consequences? I'm sure by now you would know that that is a philosophical question, already engaging what is right and wrong from Kant's deontological view, or J.S. Mill and Jeremy Bentham's consequentiality. Okay, so that is philosophical. That is why the option there would be all the given options are philosophical questions. Why? They are addressing normative issues and they are prescribing, not just describing what is there. Want elaboration? I've referred you to the content. Okay. From its etymology, philosophy is defined as, should we go to that? It's obvious. What? Someone says, from its etymology, philosophy is defined as A, the demand for clarity, B, loving wisdom. Remember that. C, intellectualism. None of the above. From its etymology, its root meaning. So you can't play around with that. It's what? The love of wisdom, loving wisdom. That is the answer. If we are doing its etymology. Which of the following is not developed by philosophy in its student? Here again, which is not developed. So which one don't we focus on? We don't develop that. Writing, communication, and persuasive skills, we develop that because you can anticipate how someone is thinking. Since you yourself, you're a question asker, you already anticipate to be a good communicator. You can persuade. You will write well because you know what exactly you want to say and how you want to argue it out. and how you want to present your argument. Okay, so you are a bit more concise, cogent. The second one says dispute without basis. This one, even if you didn't know, how would any academic discipline train people to dispute without a basis? With a man's on, all you know is disputing without any basis. That's not philosophy. We don't train you to do that. In fact, philosophy will train you to even accept a superior view. Okay, you're trained to organize your ideas and to have the posture of problem solving. Not problem repeating. You are entering the lecture hall like we did the last time I mentioned it in class. The space to enter is so small because half of the main doors are closed. And the hundreds of students are squeezing themselves through that tiny open door. One of you just has to pause, open the other door, so that we'll have a wider space. In fact, another could even go to the next extreme and open that other door. Someone can do the back one. I'm talking about JQB. So we'll have 3 outlets. We will get in earlier, less stressed. We will not lose a phone, or someone will not drop his spectacles because we were all squeezed up like that, you see, and we'll be safer COVID-wise. Now, it is an issue of solving a problem. Not saying that, but I'm not the one who sets the lecture hall, and I'm not the one who did the last pull, pardon me, into the thing. So when I go there, and it's like that. But you were the one who just walked out. You didn't do it. When you got there, and the place was in a mess, the washroom. You couldn't use the place. But if you don't solve it and you walk out, the next person coming in only knows that you were the last person who was there. Now you, because see that. You have a posture of problem solving, and it cuts across all facets of life: lecture hall, politics, academia, religion, nations, international relations. There's a role to play. And philosophers are always interested in grooming ourselves to be able to respond conceptually, though, but to practical problems of existence. We should be asking, what is democracy? Have we really served justice to these people who were laid off? Should we allow the religious faith of people to inform some of the things that we see in society? You sell everything you have at the instance, so to speak, of someone who sees beyond the physical, who tells you that you should chew grass. The whole congregation should go out there and chew the grasses or burn themselves so that they can get to heaven early, or suicide bomb because they will be welcomed home in the other world. Why are you on earth? If that place is so glorious and you are aiding me to bomb myself or to chew grass or to burn the building down so that we die early and go to heaven, why are you, Mr. Bishop or say Imam, why are you on earth? Who is asking that question? They are societal issues. Okay. Philosophy does that. Okay. Now there I went philosophizing. So the skill of assessing the pros and cons of a matter from many points of view. We developed that in you. I think we have our answer already. Let's touch on one or two others. Then people can bring their. I doubt that there will be any other that needs elaboration. Okay, so we got to 30. The requirement of informed consent. I think informed consent is your baby now. Excuse me, it's your baby now, so we will rush through them. You know them very well. The requirement of informed consent as a bioethical notion is ultimately aimed at protecting patient dignity. From our options here, that is it. We want to respect the dignity of the patient. That is why the ethics of the profession insists on patient informed consent. Why? Because we don't want people imposing their views on other people just because they are the experts. If you are the expert, I'm the one who feel it. You are doing it for me. Let me at least contribute to deciding on what benefits me. I may not know everything, but at least I feel it. Respect me so much. Okay? So not necessarily a physician's comprehension. That's not our target. Not a drug compatibility. We are not physicians, so we will know, not the physician's dignity. You'll be amazed. Patient, informed consent targets the patient. Let me consent to what you want to administer to me, drug, operation, whatever. Whatever you want to administer, let me consent to it based on what? Information. It should be properly informed. So it is targeting the patient. Okay. Then what? Okay. In ensuring informed consent, the caregiver could risk undermining the ethical requirement of, I'm sure you will know that. Should we do that, for beneficence, which means not causing harm to the patient? Is it true? No, beneficence doesn't mean not causing harm. Beneficence means doing that which benefits the patient. So that already, look at the answer. Not correct. See, in ensuring informed consent, the caregiver could risk undermining the ethical requirement of some people may just go straight as soon as they see beneficence. Oh, yeah, this woman. We discussed that beneficence. No, look at the answer. They are philosophical details. Okay, so it's not that. Non-malfeasance, which means not causing harm to the caregiver. Now that is correct. See, let's see the third one. This one says non-beneficence. I don't know if it's nothing like non-beneficence that we discussed. Then beneficence, which means doing that which benefits the patient. Well, I see two answers. Non-malfeasance, which means not causing harm. Oh no. You see, I tricked my own self. See, non-malfeasance, which means not causing harm to, see what I said here, the caregiver. Not causing harm to the patient. So this one is also incorrect. Now I missed it. I was caught in my own trap. So the correct answer now is what? Beneficence, which means doing that which benefits the patient. This is correct. See this, non-beneficence. We didn't even do non-beneficence. There isn't any ethical term like that. And look at this, non-malfeasance, which means not causing harm. But we should finish. To who? To the patient, not to the caregiver. So this is also incorrect. Then let's see this, beneficence, which means not causing harm to the patient. Not causing harm is what? Not beneficence. It is called non-malfeasance. I'm sure now you know. We all get it. It's good we engaged it. Okay. 35. Okay, 34. We just did 34. Identify the statement among the given options attributed to Jose Ortega. Which one will we attribute to Ortega? Okay, we know Ortega. I think, therefore I am. No, that's Descartes. The greatest good for the greatest number. No, those are for the consequentially. J.S. Mill and Jeremy Bentham. Okay. The unexamined life is not worth living. It's attributed to Socrates. Kwame Jechi says it too, but he also attributes it to Socrates. So none of the above. If I saw existence precedes essence, then I would think that was what Ortega and his cohorts, but not this. None of them. 36. In his allegory of the cave, Plato admonishes the enlightened philosopher to avoid enlightening the disillusioned prisoner. That's not true. To remain outside the cave. That's not true. To keep the light from the undisciplined. That's not true. So none of the given options. Plato says he should go back into the cave. So when you get the light through reflection, spiritual reflection, whatever, you are supposed to return. Don't remain up there on the ivory tower and judge. You see, look at them. What a corrupt society. They come down and help. You will not be received pleasantly, but with time, it will all wash. Comparing the subjectivist to the emotivist, one will notice that they agree in their critique of the universalists, except that, then here you fill in the gap, except that the Dododo denies that moral judgments express the speaker's feelings. One of them denies. So the two options are all saying something that is alike, except that. See, the word deny means doesn't accept. So one of them doesn't accept that moral judgments express the speaker's feelings. Who says that moral judgments express the speaker's feelings? Is the emotivist. So amongst the two, between the two of them, who would deny that? It will be the subjectivist, see, denying that moral judgments express the speaker's feelings. So that was the preamble. The answer here will be subjectivist. It will be only one answer. That's why it's filling the gap. You forgot it. If you saw that, then you should answer that. That was the expected answer. You have the mark though. No stress. Just know that that was what was expected of you. Okay. The claim of the ethical or moral relativist is not descriptive. True or false? Oh, see, the claim of the ethical or moral relativist is not descriptive. True or false? That is false. That is true. That is both. So let's explain. See, the claim of the ethical or moral relativist, is it descriptive? They are not describing. It's a cultural relativist that is describing. Okay? The cultural relative is only stating a fact. I'm sure Gifty and the City Campus test, my friend, my other friend, is it Alfred? There's another gentleman that would often ask that question. They will bear me out, and you all can bear us out. See that cultural differences cannot be disputed. It is just a fact. When you observe, we are not the same. What we eat vary from culture to culture. I said all of that. Okay, so as for cultural relativism, it is descriptive. I hope it's clear now. But ethical, which is also labeled as moral relativism, that one is talking about the question of right and wrong. We cannot leave it to a matter of fact out there. They may be doing things differently, but we're talking about cultures. But what is right or wrong about it cannot depend on that. So it is not descriptive, it is normative. That is true. Now you see why it's true? Good. There's no contention at all. Okay, then we move on. We have some few more to go. Let it help your revision. That is the point of the discussion. The branch of philosophy that investigates the nature and origin of knowledge it will be epistemology, please. Which approach of doing philosophy is criticized for overemphasizing questions of meaning and underemphasizing? We have seen it. The answers may alternate, but now you know. This one, see how I said it. Which approach of doing philosophy is criticized? Which one is criticized? Not who criticizes the other. So you see that here, that's the point I wanted to show you. Here, who is criticized for overemphasizing questions of meaning? It is the analytic approach. So this answer will be analytic. We criticize them. But what we saw earlier said, who criticizes the other? That would be the speculative folks criticizing these people for overemphasizing questions of meaning and truth. Now, training in philosophy will lead to all the following, except I'm sure you would have seen them. Let's see if there were variations there. Okay, make you understand human society, liberate you from prejudice and provincialism, contribute to a well-reasoned and mature faith. It's almost like developing you, and this is what we will not develop in you. See, the other one didn't say defensive and dogmatic posture. He said it makes you something and overly defensive, you see. But ultimately the same. You don't have to believe it. It's clear now. Let's finish. Okay. Which one of the following correctly describes that? I think it will be closer to what we saw there. If you feel that you were not clear with something, you can always let me know. Identify the philosophical question among the following. We've seen something like that. It should be fine. Which aspect of informed consent is a physician preoccupied with if he asks for an interpreter to assist him to inform his patient before administering a medication? Let's go and look at it. There were 4 steps, if you recall, that I gave you in the slides. that the process should go through to ensure informed consent. Okay, so which one is the one that the physician is focusing on? If he says, oh, I want an interpreter to tell this my patient what I'm saying so that he can understand, which one? Is it relationality? No. Is it compatibility? No. Comprehension? Yes. I want the person to comprehend, to understand. So I don't want to go and stand there and speak all my plenty brofo. And then when I finish, the patient will say, oh, doc, you know, you're late. It will be good. It will be good. Yes, you give it to me. The way you are saying it, it will work. Then how can it be? Since the obey you, and I'll make sure Miss Mechanism now. The one on a broken dog. That's the only reason the person doesn't understand. So he's saying yes, consenting, but it is not informed. I mean, the doctor didn't ensure comprehension. But for this one, the patient, the doctor emphasis on an interpreter means he wants to make sure there is comprehension, there is understanding. That's one of the steps towards ensuring informed consent. Okay, which one is that? In ensuring informed consent, the caregiver risks undermining the ethical requirements of, I suspect it will be what we've done, beneficence and non-malfeasance, the various ways I framed it and tricked even myself right now. So you would want to read to find that answer. Philosophers traditionally think of knowledge as justified, true belief. It is in the slides uploaded for you shortly, and the video also still on the channel. Excuse me. It's part of the Descartes content. I've said that over and over again because I will ask you. I've told you, I will ask you. That's why I am stressing it. Plato, unlike the existentialists, believe that what? The existentialists believe existence precedes essence. You exist before you create an essence. Ortega is one of them. Heidegger is another. We saw Jean-Paul Sartre. They are all instances of what? Existentialists. Now, we say Plato, unlike the existentialists, believe that what? So let's go and see the options we give. If we know what the existentialists say, that they say existence precedes essence. So this can't be correct. We want to know what Plato, so Plato will say essence precedes existence. You had an essence before you existed. Then we put some over the bar option there. Man is the measure of all things. This is a subjectivist claim by Protagoras, not even in this topic, you see. But it is there, and you get some amazing remnant of Israel who decide to pick that. They know that they are over the background. All of them, it can be all of the given options. So we know the answer now. If you want to hear it again, just play back. This is a recording. Rewind me like a machine. You know, you hear me say the same thing again for your revision. That's why I recorded it. I want you to be able to have it. Okay. Okay. Fortunately, he does not think that we should speculate about an existence. This one too can be corrected. I saw one or two prompts, but it was still possible to have an answer there. He does not think that we should speculate about an. People want to see essence, so let me put that. It wouldn't have changed anything though. Okay. We have people think we should speculate about. He does not think that we should speculate about an essence or nature prior to existence. And I'm saying that even if we left it as it was earlier, it won't change anything because we believe, people of faith, before you were a blood clot in your mother's womb, I knew you. If you knew me, then I existed. I had an essence. I had an existence, of course, in a different form, not in a bodily form, prior to my current existence. Okay, so there are people who hold on to that view. That is what this person does not think so. So nothing has changed. You just need to show that this person doesn't subscribe to that. Who could that person be? I put the Ortega, I put Jechi, I put Ajay, I put Plato. You see. Now, we can't, this for these other authors, it might be open. You see, I don't know what the other authors will say, but Ortega is explicit. He says he doesn't think so. Why? He's one of the people that says we exist first before we even think of creating an essence for ourselves. So nobody should come and talk about you are fixed and unchangingly something. Okay. 49. I argue that you are what you choose to be, not what you have been made to be. Per our discussion, this will be Ortega. Okay, so you see that the questions that are following are Ortega and Plato. Gives you a fair idea of how you can be examined, especially in the oncoming interim assessment. All objectives too. Too many to do essays for an interim assessment. Okay. But we can well examine you on this and then we'll do fine. According to Ortega, man's being is partly natural and partly what? Extra natural or anti-natural. So if both of them are there, you must choose both. The answer will be both options. You see, let me show you so that you get me. See, according to Ortega, man's being is partly natural and partly what? A, anti-natural. This is correct. B, extra-natural. That is also correct. You see? So C, both options. This one, B amount. It has to be both options, not none. If you choose A only, how about B? They are all in his text, the reference text we read. Okay, so it has to be both. And that is why, because of such tricks and what have you, twists and turns, meant to help you to polish up your alleged. It didn't go against you, marks-wise. For all those who participated in the quiz, you know what I mean. It didn't go against you because the target, that is an exercise, was to quiz you to see. And you did your best with that. Generally, very good performance. The original marks are still there. But we can't let that count towards your final. So you will see a representation of your participation in that over there. Where were we? We have a few to go, just about 3 or 4. In his allegory of the cave, Plato admonishes the enlightened philosopher to have seen that the answers will vary a little. That's all that is there. The dodo is a project or aspiration of life. Which part is a project or an aspiration of life? It is not the natural part. That one is given. It is the extra natural part, yes. But let's see what the others are. Perhaps we have the anti-natural. Okay, so there isn't any other one. There's vision, there's none of the gifts. So it is the extra natural part that continually changes. It's a project or aspiration of life. Ortega's words D2. You can't get it wrong. Okay. Then the claim of the ethical or moral relativist. See, the earlier one said it's not descriptive, if you recall. Now we say the claim of the ethical or moral relativist is descriptive, true or false. So this will be false. At the same time, your other colleague who got not relative, not descriptive, will be picking out true. So you should focus on your work. You don't have all the time to go and compare and contrast. Okay, then this should be the last one. I think I pulled this. These are the main strands. And then something else are all versions of this. According to Ortega, what history is to things, nature is to man. True or false? This is the last italicized quote in your reference text that we discussed in class together. We read it. Recall. Go back to that text and see if this is correct. It's not correct. What history is to things? No. Things have a nature. It is man that has history. So what nature is to things, history is to man, not vice versa. Details, patience to read what is being said there. We were all caught in that trap. So it comes with more practice and more observation. Okay, according to Ortega, what history is to things, that's wrong. What nature is to things, history is to man. So the answer for this is what? It is false. I think that you are well able to use this resource also to guide your thinking, to give you a bit more resoluteness in the course. You should feel confident that you are capturing some good grounds, content-wise, life-wise, more importantly, grades-wise. I wish you well. Have a wonderful weekend and study the content on the card for our next week discussions. Hopefully, I'll top up with the last 2 content just so that you can enrich yourself with them. They are useful for you. your other courses for this one. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. All the best and take care. Yes, and they tell me to tell you, God bless you. Bye.